already joined, and today we will have the showcase for the projects. Yesterday we had a demo on the finance use case, and I think today it will be a showcase for a more complete end-to-end project. And up to now we have two teams. One is from Ada, and the other is from Amit, who just registered for this in Discord, and I'm excited to see both of your projects. And then also for everyone who is joining now, if you want to show your projects, and you can still let me know now. Even if it's just a notebook or something small, we will be happy to see what you learned from the study group. So I'll give it a minute for everyone to propose. Okay, great. So I see Yash just raised his hand and will present. So now we have 3 projects. Let me know if anyone else have any proposal. Okay, if not, I guess we can start. And if during the meeting you want to raise your hand and discuss your project, we still welcome you to start your project. So yeah, so I think we can start. Ada, are you ready for? Can we start with yours first?
Yes, sure.
Okay, great. Maybe you can take over and share your screen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Can you see my screen?
We can see it.
Okay, thank you. So I just do a basic rack for analyze the data on my own data input. So let me show my workflow. So I take the couple extra data, like external data, two URL. One is from the Microsoft website for about their investor report. Another is the linking for the the news for the company layoff or hiring stuff. So for the PDF, I download 10K report from Meta and Apple. And I also connect to the Polygon API to get the stock values from the last 360 days. So I extract those data and input to the loading program, and split it by the chunk with the 1,000 character each, and overlap 200, and store as the with a database. So I also feed the some queries for testing. So the question about like what was the Apple stock performance last month, and also what are the current market trends affect the tech stock, and also the assign them the each prompt, each question have like the different style, like marketing and analyst or stock price. So let's say let me go through the output. So this is sample output from the for example question. So I feel like the company, the my applications can pick up the stock, but he has a challenge to pick up the correct data from the correct price from the metrics, like from if they have the couple tables, so it pick the wrong price for the Apple stock. Actually, I double checked the Apple stocks around 214 to 260 during the September 2024. but Microsoft stock should be like around 430. And the second questions, it get pretty well because it's it relating about what other color market trends affect to the tech stock. So I double checked the contents and found the programs can pick up the contents from the Apple 10K report about for the September 2024. So in the page 5. So it's pretty correct. Even though I didn't mention the Apple here, it based on my previous question. It looked for the Apple's stock performance, the Apple news from the 10K report instead of to check to get the data from the Meta. So let's see the more question. Here's the another example. What are the key financial metrics for the last quarter? So it's the same problem when I check do the human check for those data in the analysis. So this is the 394.3 billions. Actually, it's from the 2022 report. And I mean, in the same report, but it's in the column 2022. And but the 2% increase compared to the previous quarter, this is correct. And also, if I highlight the red data here, so it covers like all those is the data. It come from the last column of the in the PDF file. So let me show you that what is charged when you load the PDF. So this is the PDF file. It looks like it always like to pick up the file, read the data from the 2022 instead of 2024. So this is the challenge. I believe like in the future we need to take more notice to when we extract data from the PDF, like the tables. If someone already done these steps, let me know it. I can improve at my program. So the next questions is for about what is the current news event has the impact the market. So it's a pick up the pretty well too. If the pick up the content from the risk event in the Apple 10K for step September 2024 and the page 9. So also mentioned the COVID-19 pandemics impact the economic and growth and sales. So that's good. Let me go through my GitHub. So this is my program. I put the code here. So first, I create a class for the API connection. So I get the stock price for last 330 days, daily data and store it to if you see it's a volume, open, close, high, low, and timestamp and a chat session. So this is the key metrics, the column data in my CSV files. So, and then I create a rack using first define the variable it contain the data folder from the data if from the data folder and also connect the OpenAI API and Paragon's API and also input the LLM's embedding tool from the OpenAI with the trunk splitting defined. And here is this a step I just put it store the data in my CSV file. So that's the I create a process for each data format. Like this is chunks this piece of code for process CSV, And this is for the PDF file. And this one, I was planning uh, to extract the videos from the like Bloomberg technology. Sometimes if you get a YouTube download, so you can do the analysis, but I didn't download successfully. Here is the URLs. So I extract you I put the URL in it. It can extract the contents from the URLs. And then do the similarity research here for the rock. And here is the build vector storage. So it's quite standard process like the video show us. Um, and then let me let me let me scroll down. That's the piece. This is the main thing. Connect to the OpenAI API and Polygon API. Um, then I cite some the symbol like the stock symbol like Apple, Microsoft, Google, Meta. So I bases this, but actually we you can put any data in it. So this is the PDF file. I have a four PDF file. Actually, it's they pretty old. Um, but I think that for 10K, I will advise to get connect to the SEC, but they charge for the API fee. So and then this is sample video file, um, but not related. This is the two URL. One is from the Microsoft investor report. Another one is Linking's news story. It's about Meta to lay off and 2 days ago. And then I cited like do the compression results to for the similarity search for what is the Apple stock price. So here I also put the test query here in this piece and then to repeat. So it's quite simple logics. Yeah. And let me see. So yeah, this done. So yeah, this is my profile. You can contact me in linking if you have a more idea to how to do the improvement or you like to cooperate to do the financial data analysis. Yeah, let me know it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ada. This is a great project. I saw one question in the chat from Helen. Do you want to paste it again in the main thread? I think her question is it's up in a discussion thread where she's asking, did you follow any GitHub or starting from scratch, and how to process different format of data such as JSON, PDF, Word, and will it impact the output accuracy?
Actually, this is my first time to build a rack. So when I do the study, I actually follow the video content. Like actually, this is the file they provided. I mean, this is the step. And but extra things I would like to see how to input my own data because it's mostly the challenge is like the company has some their own data as a private. I will advise you to use put in a private cloud, and then that will be to prevent your data release to the public. So, but this is the when you say it's like import the PDF or URL stuff, you can Google the code online. You can run it, but sometimes it's the maybe you need to check that the data loaded whether it can have a correct format or not because as the PDF is quite challenging for 10K include some is picture or maybe some the table is most challenging usually. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's already very impressive, given that exactly like in 10K you have charts, tables and plots, and that's the part that is very challenging and may need multimodal. But this is very impressive, and I think you get a question like if this is done within a week because it's very impressive.
Actually, yeah, I use as the cursor for is the program is the AI tool to help me to organize the code. Um, but the majorly I think that in my study is I learned how to do the whole follow the whole week's programs to learn this system model. So basically. So my what I learned is like I haven't used the advanced tool like in the few in the last two class they in I know that our courses still have like how to build your own tool and advanced search for and also build a track the track bot. So I haven't done those as yet, so I still learning. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think that's already
Okay.
a very good end-to-end project. There's one more question. Um, what is the role of Polygon API? I think you used the API for finance. Poly
Yes. Um, I personally, if you want to be a real application, I advise like Yahoo Finance. But if a lot of the finance company actually use the Bloomberg terminal, so if you use this one, it's quite friendly to give give me the free API access for the batch process. But you want to real time data, you still need to stream API. That then you need to pay. And Fugo.
Thank
I just
you.
had a quick question. Did you how did you process the PDF files? Did you use one of did you do the processing yourself or did you use some specific libraries or?
Let me go it to show you the PDF file. I think this is I follow PDF file. I follow the our course. So if you see the second course, it will be. Let me go through. Um, it's quite simple. Yeah, PDF. So if you can uh, follow because I have a multiple file, but if you process it, you just need to do the like PYPDF2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you read our uh,
Okay, you use a
yeah,
PyPDF. Okay.
yeah, use a Python, and it also exactly the code in our courses.
Mhm. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I think I believe you need to read it and need to do some data engineering work. But I didn't check it,
Right.
so yeah. Otherwise,
Yeah,
they
I guess what I'm trying to get to is this library you are using, PyPDF, right? I think
yeah.
it's only seems like it only extracts the text in the PDF well, but it doesn't extract the tables well. So that's why when you're asking questions with respect to
Uh-huh.
the, like the revenue numbers and profit numbers, these were all in a table, right?
Hmm.
And it seems like it doesn't, I'm assuming it probably doesn't extract those tables well. Because when you ask questions where you had to extract data from
Yeah.
the textual content, it seemed like the answers were right. But when you ask questions that were coming from that table, right? Like you're asking
Hmm.
numbers and profit numbers, they were not correct.
Yeah,
So,
I think that they still able to read the table because as the I
but
found
not
this
the right
no
one, not the
yeah
right
yeah not the
column.
right one. They always read the last the last column. So
Mm.
I possible like when we extract the data and then have to thread it like you use the thread file like
Okay.
modify the table in the one
Yeah, I was just
column.
curious, like
Yeah.
if anybody, is there like another library we have to use
Mm.
to make sure we extract the tables from the PDF well? Because PDF is pretty much a very common document, and I think I've
Yeah.
notice, that table extraction is pretty much a big challenge, right? So does
Yeah.
anybody else kind of know, is there like any particular good library that is good at extracting tables from PDF well?
Yeah, I will good to know.
If you move
So this
PDF.
basically you're asking about a vision package, right? Now so this one indeed it will convert everything to text. So it's like tables, it will actually be converted to text and then it will do a text embedding. It's not like a vision model. So
Okay.
I don't have on top of mind which one is the best, but definitely if you want to read the table and charts, you need to explore vision model instead of plain text model. And here in this course is actually not in scope. So I understand this challenge for Ada here. Totally expected. Yeah. But multimodal RAG is what we need for reading very complicated documents.
Yeah.
Ada, can I ask a very quick question?
Yes.
In those kind of input financial document, will the tables impact the output accuracy? Because we made this in the document understanding project. I
I
mean,
think
for
that
example, the table or some strange, like star or punch or dollar or whatever, will that impact?
it will, but because as we don't know the neuron how they read and organize those the data to which
Okay.
pieces, so it will be possible to get the wrong answer. That's why the human checks have to come from. I probably we need to do some data engineering work for data cleaning. Second part also need to do the tweak on the prompt.
Yeah, we combine with computer vision some of the packages. Okay, back to you. Thank you, Ada, and
Yeah,
also
thank you.
AI.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, let me stop to share.
Thank you, Ada. Yeah, for the question on the vision, actually, yeah. Now I get back the name that will take a look before it's a Copali. I watched the video from Zane from Together AI, and he had a very good video for using Copali for vision model. I can share it on Discord later. Yeah, if you want to explore that direction. So yeah, thank you. So next project is from Amit. Are you ready? Do you want to share? And maybe you can introduce yourself in the beginning and let us know your background.
Hello, so my name is Amit, and I had been working as a telecommunication consultant for over 15 years, and I quit my job in end of December 2023 to pursue an accelerated master's in data science. And it finished, but I didn't have the time to work on generative AI or enhance my skills, so I decided to take up this challenge. And coming to the project, I have to see how do I share my screen. It's wait a second. Uh,
Does the sharing work for you? Let me know if you have any issue with
um,
sharing on your side.
how do I share my screen? I haven't used Zoom, so I'm not sure. What do I
Do
click
you
on?
see a share button in the bottom? I'm not sure if it's
It's in the bottom and apps. Let me just check. Mhm.
mm,
Mm. Yes. Okay.
okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see there is a request now. Let me know if you see any other issues.
I've shared my. Okay.
I cannot see it yet, but
Okay.
if you click it
Yes, I'm
again.
sharing. Yes.
Okay.
You see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, I just tried to follow the 6 sessions from a course, and I downloaded the financial reports, the financial statements for 3 years from the World Health Organization website, and there are around 90 to 110 page each. And if I just scroll quickly, you see there are a lot of images with data and not directly written. In some places, it's also directly written, like here and so on. Maybe not a very good choice to get started with, but anyways. And I downloaded one more PDF, not very big, 35 page from PwC, just to understand the company's financial statements, some keywords. And my initial idea was to use this to work on all this or to help me extract the relevant query, which I didn't do. But let me come to the code, which I have done. So do you see my code? Are you able to see my
Can see your code.
Jupyter Hub?
Yeah, we can see your code here.
Yes. So what I did was I imported my API key from OpenAPI. It's better to use this as stated to prevent leakage of your key. And then I used the same PyPDF too because I don't know how much I'll be charged using the OpenAPI for processing about 400 pages of document. And as you see, it manages to extract some. I didn't see the whole thing, but it gets some data, you know. It is yet to be verified how well it performs on the entire PDF. I need to cross check. And once I have that, I split it into chunks and I use this 1000. I tried 300, 500, but then stuck to 1000 and chunk overlap to 200. I searched on internet for different values and between 150 to 200 is quite advisable for this. And from our course, I also took in the separators, but they seem to have issues as it doesn't identify spaces, you know, we'll see later. And these are just some sample. These are the number of words that we have split into in the three documents. And then if we are using LangChain, you don't need to tokenize. It's handled by OpenAI directly. So what I used was context-aware embeddings that we have seen in the course. And before doing that, I saved these embeddings into a pickle file so that I don't need to redo it each time in case it was already run before. So here is a sample embedding. It looks like this. It's just a vector with some numeric values. So for all the embeddings, you have the different vectors corresponding to it. And then I try to check the TF-IDF and the SVM retriever that we had seen in the course. So basically it retrieves the chunk based on the question asked. So the question I gave was what are the major highlights in each of the financial reports? I can zoom in a bit if it's not so clear. Yes. And for both of them, for SVM retriever, basically it captures all the data from a PwC file. I think it was a bad idea to include it. And there's nothing more. But for the PDF IDF retriever, it's similar but much better. And as we see, in many of the words where we have a punctuation, it doesn't perform well. Like if there was a apostrophe, it has mixed up. And the text is not really related to the question asked. The similarity is not very high here, sign similarity. And then I upload these embeddings to the Chroma vector database. So we create a client and then we just store for each of the documents the embeddings. Let's go along for a while. Yeah. And then I just check, I just verify. So we have the IDs, embeddings, documents, URI, data, metadata, and some included in the vector database metadata. And then I see for one of the documents, so this is how it gets stored. So this is quite in line with what we see in the PDF. And it has also extracted some of these from the example. If I go back here, it was able to extract some of this data, which were in table format. Oops. Yeah. So it's not so bad with the tables. It was okay. But I could also try using PyMu PDF, which is supposed to be better than PyPDF, maybe later. And here we have 900 items in total in the vector store. And then I do a similarity search example as we had seen in our course. And I have the question and I check the similarity for this question, taking five chunks, five most relevant chunks. And the question was list total assets and liabilities for each of the year. And actually, it is able to figure out for 2022. So you have liabilities, but it's not well formatted. And M is million, so probably it's not able to understand that M denotes million or something. And it does for the other years too. It's not very proper. I have to figure out why it's not so clear when I had 3 years. It gives only for 2 years. No, no, it gives. In fact, when I use this prompt to extract, it is clear. You see, for year 2021, total assets and total liabilities, year 2022 and 23. So it is better to define a prompt and then generate the response this way. It's much cleaner. And then I use this max marginal relevance search that we had seen in the course. So again, if you just print directly, it is not so clean and you see only for 2 years. But when you put in the context and then you invoke our OpenAI LLM with the prompt, it is able to figure out for all 3 years, which is correct here. And then I tried to use the compression technique to improve the quality of retrieved documents. So here the question was, what are the major highlights in each of the financial reports from the 3 given years? And it is able to extract some important statements from the 3 documents. But I get 10 documents here. I don't know why. I have to use with verbose to check more in detail, but here are the highlights. In fact, the final answer is correct. I think it generates a new document for each step, and this is how it comes to a conclusion. This is what I figured out. So you see, you have the highlights for 2021, 22, and 23, and this is quite good. I checked with the document, and these are in line with what I found. And then there's no need to persist the database. It depends on the version of ChromaDB you're using. If it's an older one, you need to persist it manually, like I'm using. No, I didn't update the requirement. No. Yeah. So I was using 0.6. It's a more newer version of ChromaDB. Yeah, then I just tried to replicate what I'd seen in the course. So then the next one was to use the Pydantic library to have more structured output. And I gave in a few questions, but here what I don't understand is we still have these new line characters and it hasn't parsed these correctly. But otherwise, it's able to provide good results. So I need to figure out more how to make better use of this Pydantic model. And next, I made a template to use it, a generic template. For example, I just use the same template as we had seen in the class to provide some additional information as to not to hallucinate if there's no proper answer and so on. Use maximum 3 sentences and so on. And then when I run the query again, it is quite precise in 3 lines. It's able to summarize the entire text from all 3 documents. So it says that the revenue showed a decline between 21 to 23, and this was the total revenue in 21. It increased, but then it declined. And this one shows you the sources of the documents it used for the query, the different parts. And this I ran, but I need to set up the account, the billing account, to be able to see the results, which I haven't done yet. Then also, I tried these 2 different chains. The map reduce chain for retrieval doesn't work at all for question answering. In fact, for the same query, it says it does not find any information on the trends. But when I use this refined chain, I'm able to have a very good summary for this. And I think it is in this that I find that there are some words, yeah, like this one, you see, I need to use a better chunking technique to be able to deal with words such as these. And then I used another custom prompt template that we had seen in the class. So yeah, with this one, we can use this conversational retrieval chain with memory. And so this one provides very similar result, very hard to differentiate from the previous one. But again, because the chunking wasn't proper, we have words like digis and several others. And then I tried to use the chat prompt developed by Sophia Yan. So in this one, the prompt seems to work, but when I pass the query, there's no reply. So I need to debug this to make it work. And that's about it. And I was trying to implement the next part of the course, which was functions and agents. So that is ongoing. You have any questions?
Yeah, this is really impressive. I didn't, yeah, I didn't expect anyone to actually go through all the details of the courses and actually test all the details. So I'm wondering if this also the same question as for Ada, is this done in 1 week?
Yes, but I use tools not really to copy paste because most of it I copy pasted from the course material
Mm-hmm.
itself. And I think we need to spend more time on chunking and splitting the data, because
Yeah.
this is where all the difference will come later on. For text splitting isn't good enough. Okay, so
Yeah.
probably I should try looking at other tokenizers or different models, like maybe BERT or some other model from Hugging Face, to do it in a
Yeah.
more cleaner manner. And the other aspect is, as we discussed earlier, for PDFs containing tables such as these, or if they have images and you want to extract data, I think this is quite critical. Otherwise, you may lose out vital information from your input data. And if it is unaccounted for, then it
Mm-hmm.
makes no sense using these uh,
Mm-hmm.
code to extract and work with the data. So that's one issue.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, I have some queries about this vector database. Should you, in the course, we had seen that we first combine all the chunks and then embed them and then upload it to the vector database. Does it make a difference if we chunk each of the documents separately and upload to the database?
Yeah, so I
Because,
actually,
yeah, go ahead, please.
yeah, sorry. I actually don't have a lot of experience on these two different ways. For me, I
Uh-huh.
usually like, for example, PDF. I usually just do them together. But I think, uh, if you want to have, for example, you want to keep each document, you want to get the when you retrieve, you want to retrieve to a specific document instead of combine all the information together and just retrieve the same features. Maybe you want to do them separately. I think in the course, because we're doing very simple POCs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not handling a large data set with this, like with difference between these two methods. But
In
yeah, I think
fact,
it's a good question.
to understand, suppose I had one document and I had two documents initially, and if I first chunked it and then combined and then embedded it, it will calculate the distance to each word in the combined document. Okay, so if you are adding a new document tomorrow, you need to redo this step before you upload it. And if I'm doing chunking and then embedding for each of the documents, then each of the embedding for each of the document remains separately on the database.
Mhm.
But then how do you calculate the distance between different documents, which are already stored as embedding? So maybe this is the difference. Maybe I'll try out to see how the performance may differ.
Yeah, I think for the question, maybe the best way is to try see if the
Yeah,
results are different.
yeah.
In terms of the vector database size, it might also be different. So maybe you need to test the
Mm-hmm.
size and also the performance.
Yes,
Um,
and some issues I faced was I didn't know the original name of the vector database. I mean, yeah, it was this one, but the table or I will show you where I faced the issue. So here I create a client just to
mhm.
with the name, so it stores it in this database, and then I upload it, and then after this. So this one works. Yeah, you see, I had to create a new vector store, okay, calling the client and then giving it a name and then passing on the embeddings, and only then it works. I don't know why. It doesn't directly take in from the collection that I already made previously. So one should be careful of this step, You have to create a new vector store from your existing vector database to which you had calculated.
I thought when you do the persistent DB, it should be able to reuse.
No, it gets persisted. That's not the issue. The thing is, if you don't create this extra vector store like this, you get errors later on.
Okay, but you're not doing the embedding again, right? You already have it, and then
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah. In fact, if I give uh, it's just it just defines a new vector store. That's it. I think it's good to
Yeah.
define it. Yeah. Otherwise, it's okay. And what I need to add on further to this is some more relevant queries to really see how it is doing, because I use one simple generic query everywhere due to lack of time. But it would be good. For example, I just made a list. We have revenue, expenses, surplus, assets, liabilities, net equity, and some images which correspond to these. So I'm trying to build a function and try to use the last module of the course to implement that.
Yeah, that would be great. I think it's yeah, it's really a very comprehensive, very good project. Do you mind sharing it with sharing your code with us
Yes,
to
I
let other.
shared on the
Oh, you
um,
already did. Oh,
Discord.
the
Yeah.
Git. Oh, okay, okay. Thank you. And you can
The
also yeah, sorry.
share it here. Okay. One second.
I just had a general question. I guess this is for people who have demoed as well as people who have worked on a project. Regarding the chunk size, right? Like, did you use any heuristics or any kind of, how did you even decide on a chunk size? Let's say that's my general question.
Yeah, so there are some techniques which you can use for chunk size. For example, the average length of a sentence. Okay. Then, depending on your context, how long it revolves around, maybe 2, 3 sentences, so you can multiply it by 3 times the average sentence length. Because also you need to know that the context window is limited to 2048 tokens. So you have to see how many tokens your sentence gets transformed into. If a sentence, say, of 10 words on an average, then the number of tokens you are using will be different. And if your average length of sentence is, say, 6 words, then the number of tokens you can fit in the 2048 window will be different. But with OpenAI and all, now it's increased to 4096 or even higher with some other models. So you need to check that and then decide your chunk size.
So if it's 4096, then as long as you pick something like 1,000 or 2,000, you should be good.
I'm not sure tokens to words, how much it corresponds to.
Let's say, so that's one way of thinking about it. Meaning, now you're trying to decide what chunk size to choose because of the constraint on the LLM itself. But let's say if you were to think of the structure of the document itself, right? Whatever that document happens to be, because
Uh,
depending on whatever documents you work with, uh, because at the end of the day, it's the chunk that you are, and because when you retrieve the documents, it's the chunks that are being retrieved, right? So
yes,
and then the LLM uses reasoning to extract the necessary information from those chunks.
yeah,
So that's what I'm trying to understand. Whatever those chunks are being supplied to LLM, uh, the size. I guess what I'm trying to get to, let's say if I have a financial document versus some other type of document, the chunk doesn't the chunk size need to kind of vary depending on the nature of the document or nature of the industry you're in? This is
yes,
a general question,
exactly.
right?
Yes. For example, if you have an Excel sheet and it has, say, 100 rows, then it has a different chunk size than a table which has 1,000 rows, for example. No, so you need to get the full table into your chunk. Otherwise, also we saw in our
But
code
then let's
that
say your table is too long. Let's say it's, whatever, 20,000 rows, right? And that one obviously fit into one chunk. Then in that case, you will still have to divide the table into different
no,
chunks.
but that's fine because you have something called chunk overlap, So when it is trying to generate the context, it will pick up all the chunks which relate to that context.
So with the chunk overlap, it'll connect with the next chunk, you mean?
Yes, it will take some part of the first chunk in the next one also. And
Okay.
the previous and the next one, it will have some parts of it. So this is how it becomes context aware.
Okay. Um,
Yeah, so just to discuss one of the problem I encountered related to this. Um, so for example, if you have a financial regulation, right, you have different part of the document, and you have a section, and then under that section you have a text, and you have a subsection, and then text, and then if you chunk it, just like 1,000 tokens per chunk, and then you lose the context. You don't know what's the context of this 1,000 tokens, which section it is under. And also if you have, for example, someone who you have a description of someone, but his name only appear once in the beginning, and then you have a long description of what is his background, where he worked, and what his current job, etc. And then you chunk it, and then the later chunks don't know which person is this, and when you do a query, it can match this to another person. So
right.
chunk overlap kind of help with it because it kind of know the previous chunk, the next chunk, but this can still be an issue when you have a very long document and there is some context you need to handle. So the other thing is that you can add metadata to the chunks. So that way you have some context there. And in terms of the length of the chunks, actually for me, I actually just do it's like a tuning process. I try different sizes and I see how it does, but I don't have a very good theory on how to choose a size. Besides, it theoretically depend on your information structure, right? If you like, I mean, says if your sentence is very short and dense and carry information in very few words, then you probably can have a shorter chunk. But yeah, maybe you need to experiment and kind of tune it a little bit.
Right, right. I think that's why I was kind of curious, right? Because let's say you have a document that's, 20,000 words. So, and you don't want to read through the whole document, right? So does that, because what you're saying is you need to be pretty much aware of how that document is structured so that then you can use that knowledge to inform yourself as to what chunk size to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no, like, let's say, I guess I'm just trying to find the easy way out, right? Like, let's say, can't I just do because what I typically see is I see this 1,000 being used a lot because
Yes.
I think people are just choosing because it's easy to use, right? It's 1,000, it's a nice round number, but there's no, there's no kind of the, I guess, whatever research or whatever study done to kind of understand. Now, how do you even decide what is that optimal chunk size to use based obviously on the type of documents you're using, right? Is it just
Mm-hmm.
like you just try with different things and but even then you how do you know, let's say you try with 500,000, 2,000, then you have to test for each of those chunk sizes, right? And for the well, for the set of questions you have.
Mm-hmm. I think Amit is trying to show here that he tried different chunk sizes,
No,
right?
I just tried three. I
Mm-hmm.
picked up the one with 1,000 at the end because the results were very bad with a lower chunk size.
Mm-hmm. What I
And I
yeah,
think
sorry.
if you do this calculation, so like 100 tokens is 75 words. So 2048 tokens will be roughly like several sentences. around 8 to 10. So coming back, if you take a average length of a sentence like 10, then 10 sentence is good enough, to get the context. Normally, unless it's very academic or literature, maybe you may not be describing something for more than 10 sentences. So it's not a bad figure to use for, say, some business documents, financial documents.
So 10 sentences, each sentence is about 7 or 8 tokens. That's about 80 tokens. Is that what you were saying?
No, I said each sentence is about 7 words. You see, 100 tokens is about 75 words. So you figure out how many are there in 2048 tokens.
Mm.
So, okay.
1,500 words. Yeah.
So
Okay.
you have about 1,500 words. So if you do by 10 also, you're taking a back. Yeah, so you have 1,500 words, which is okay.
Yeah, and also you
Yeah,
can
you,
actually see the chunk. Once you do this, you can let it print out what each chunk have. So for me, I
yes.
use it mostly in debugging that when a question, the query, the answer doesn't make sense, I go back and see which chunk, how did it chunked, and then you will see like this two should be together, and then I chunked it, and then you adjust the size. But when I start, I usually start with 1,000. I know it's not a magic number, but and later on you will figure out, oh, this chunk probably is too granular or too large. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting topic that we probably can continue afterwards. And if anyone have any other suggestions or academic papers related to this, please share in Discord channel. Yeah, I apologize, but we probably need to because we are almost toward the end of this
I just
session.
have one last remark. In fact, we are using the character text splitter. So in this case, you split into each of the character, so it's different. There are other
Yeah,
word split, word to vec and all, or sentence splitters, sentence transformers and all, which do much better. So
yeah, you
I
can
can
also
try with
do.
3 of them and then update my code and it'll be shared for you all on GitHub.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay, yeah,
thank
thank
you.
you so much. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. If you have any ideas later, you can also share with us in Discord. Yeah, this is really awesome. I think this, yeah, it's a lot of work within a week, and thank you so much. Congratulations. And if you want, you can also share your LinkedIn information in the channel. So if other people are interested or want to collaborate with you, they can reach out to you. That would be great. Yeah, thank you. And I think our last presenter, Yash, are you still here? Are you ready to present?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Can you also introduce yourself a little bit and then let us know how your project goes? Thank you.
Sure. So my name's Yash and I work as a data scientist. Only started about a year ago. Before that, I was in full-time education. I've got a background in maths and computing and mainly do data science in the public sector. So I have done some research into generative AI before, but not done too much. And what I've really liked on this course is learning about LangChain because I haven't used that before. And what I've built is a web scraping RAG tool. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Great. So the way this was built is you start off by putting in a company name, and you also have to put in a stock ticker. So if you have Apple, then the stock ticker is like AAPL. Then it goes onto the web, scrapes some relevant news articles, stores it in a FICE data vector database. Then you do some RAG and it generates a summary on that. So, right, I'll show you the demo first, and I've done the demo with Streamlit, so I'll need to share a different window. Great, so didn't have the time to put in a user input window, but if you can just imagine that there, the user would input a company name, then it would come up with that company's news. So I've set it to scrape about 10 different um, news articles, and then it generates this summary on it. We're trying to get some generic information like Apple is selling all of these different products, and then some information which is relevant at this time. So this is some information about Tim Cook and his total compensation last year. Then there's also been some insider trading that might affect the stock values. And I think it's also talking about diversity somewhere. At least it was on one of the runs. And it's got some sources as well. So I've also tried pulling in the stock data and working out the simple moving averages, but it seems I haven't pulled in enough data to work them out for all of these dates. Now, going back to the code, so the way I've built this is we have this main orchestrator agent, and I was planning on making this into an LLM agent, but just kept it simple for the moment. It starts looking at stuff like news articles if you're trying to write, stock, trade, and we'll first go to the research agent. So this is the one that I've spent most of the time on in this project. And what this does is it goes out onto the internet and starts scraping news articles. So one of the major problems I was encountering was I kept getting 404 errors, and that's because websites don't really want you scraping their information. So the way I got around it is first you need SSL certificates, so I create this default one. Then I also used Stealth Chromium. Yeah. So if you apply this stealth sync setting here, this gets around most of the 404 errors. Then another annoying bug that I found was a lot of pages usually start redirecting when you click on their link. And what that gives you is if you scrape that page, it gives you like this page is redirecting. So you need to put this piece of code here, which waits for the page to redirect and then start scraping. And I'd say the most annoying error that took me a few hours to fix was a lot of the pages, it was scraping the cookies page. So there'd be this cookies banner asking you to accept or reject their cookies. So in order to get past that, I have to get Playwright to click on the reject cookies button and then wait for it to redirect again. Then I scrape the HTML content. I extract the main body using Traffilatura. I found this to be quite good. Then I create a document out of it, and that's the research agent done. In terms of the writing agent, I've kept this quite simple. I took a look at the different things that LangChain was offering, and it turns out they already implement RAG. So I use their FICE vector database, and it handles all the embeddings and chunkings just in this step here. Then moving on, I just use a simple prompt to write an article and to include any trading advice because it, for some reason, was removing the trading advice, possibly something from the system prompts it's using. Then it does a similarity search for the top 5 related to this query. And that's the article done. So all of that RAG's handled in this QA with sources chain. And that's what I've really enjoyed learning about LangChain is they've implemented all of these Tyson processes and created functions out of them that are really easy to use. And I did forget to mention that I'm using uh, Gemini 1.5 Flash, and it's more than enough to RAG. I've also tried building a coding agent, which I'll go on to a bit later on. And I was also thinking of doing a trader agent, but didn't really get round to it, so just had something simple. So in terms of the coding agent, so this one's still in development. Haven't really had too much time to make it better. I did have to upgrade to Gemini 1.5 Pro because Flash wasn't really up to it. So this starts off by we have this execute code function which takes any code that the LLM's generated and then uses this exec command to execute that string. We're also passing it that data frame of stock data that it's got from the Yahoo Finance library. Then in terms of the actual coding part, we've got this prompt here, which does most of the work for us. It tells it it's a code generation agent, provide some explanations. I do tell it to use this data frame, and I also provide it with what the different variables in that data frame are. Then I move on to, we're using prompt templates here like suggested in those lessons from deep learning. Then this is where I try to get it to recursively debug its code. So we start off by executing the code and working out whether it's worked or not. Then if it hasn't worked, then I use this other prompt where I'm asking it to fix the code it's generated and make sure it meets the specification. And we pass that back to the LLM, hopefully to get it to generate some good code. Then moving on, that's all there is to it. Just got text interface, haven't had time to properly integrate it. And this is one of its runs. So I asked it what's the maximum stock price. This is the correct function, but then it decided to create its own dummy data for some reason. So still trying to get around that. And yep, that's everything. Any questions?
Yeah, this is really impressive, and I think this one is what I find really amazing that I feel like you are almost delivering a real world product that you actually can use for something, and also it's so interesting and exciting to see that the like your coding one, right? It will recursively check and fix the code, and yeah, I feel like that's really interesting, and you can actually your code can be used for real world use cases. Um, yeah, and I'm also surprised that you did this without any prior knowledge on LangChain and on LM. So it's a like 1 week, right, project for you too. You're doing all these within the week.
Yeah, well, I only started yesterday on this.
Oh,
So
really?
it's been a weekend
So I
project.
guess you have a lot of prior knowledge on software engineer and machine learning, so it's easy
Yeah.
for you to pick it up. Yeah, that's really amazing because I know the course material is like, I don't know, 10 hours itself. So Yeah. Great. Yeah. So I'll see if others have questions. Before that, I also advise you can share your code and your LinkedIn if you want, so other people, if they are interested, can collaborate with you. And if once you finish your project, you can also follow up with us on Discord, so people can go back and review it if you have changes. So yeah, I think at least myself can learn a lot from your code. So yeah, thank you so much for your presentation. I'll see if others have any questions before we end the session.
I have one last question for Yash. You said you scrape the data, so how come it's regenerating synthetic data? You should be using the data you scraped already, right?
It is using the data it scrapes. Could you please expand on your question?
Initially, you said you had a scraping agent to scrape data from the stock site or something. So you already got
Yeah.
the stock data, right? And in the next part, you said you had issue with synthetic data being generated in your code.
Ah, right. Okay. So that's for so those are two separate things. If I share my screen again. So what it's scraping the data for is the news articles, which you saw in the demo. So this goes and scrapes 10 different news articles on Apple and then summarizes those. Then in the coding agent, what it's doing is I've already provided it with a data frame of stock prices, but then I've asked it to use that data frame and execute it, but the LLMs decided to create synthetic data. So that's a problem I need to fix. But otherwise, the code does work because in this synthetic data, this is the highest price which is returned.
Okay, it's clear. Thanks, Yash.
No problem.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much. Yes. If you have any other questions for Yash, you can pin it on the Discord channel, or you can unmute now and ask directly. If there's no more questions, I guess this is the end of our 7-day challenge using LangChain to build our application. Congratulations for the 3 presenters today. I'm really excited that we actually built something starting from scratch, right? And especially a lot of people here have no prior experience with LangChain or even with LM. It's very exciting to see end products from this challenge. I'd like to thank the presenters today, and I'd like to keep the channel open. So I know a lot of you are still working on your project. So share your code and share your progress with us. And if you have any feedback on which course or which component of the course you find most useful, please also share. So for people who didn't have time to follow everything, they will know which part they can check with limited time. So yeah, it's really a pleasure to host this challenge. And also I want to thank Ada and Chuxing for co-hosting the challenge. And let's keep in touch on the channel. Yeah. Okay, so I guess this is the end. I don't know if Ada and Chuxing has anything to add here. You can unmute if you want. If not, we will end the session here. And I'll post a list that we can do after the end, such as you can post your code, you can post on your LinkedIn, and we will ask for your feedback for the challenge. And you can also tell us your progress along the challenge. So yeah, so I guess that's the end. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining.